Hi, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my channel. I share everything about motherhood, homemaking, lifestyle, travel, style. There's all things over on here, so if you enjoy those kinds of things, please do subscribe to my channel. I am mum to two girls, Rosalie, who is 3, and Maeve, who has just turned 1. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. This video is kicking off a kind of breastfeeding series. Both my girls were exclusively breastfed. Rosalie until she was 14 months old, and Maeve until, well, we're still feeding now, so she's just turned 12 months old and we are still feeding and still going strong. Today I am going to share with you how to express breast milk without it affecting your supply. So keep watching to find out how. So when I was breastfeeding Rosalie, I have quite small boobs, if you can see, not very big at all. When my milk came in, my boobs were like rocket, like they were huge and they were tight and sore and they just kept leaking everywhere. I had like loads of milk and almost too much milk, and I went to the doctors about this and they told me to express with a pump. Don't do this, people. If anyone tells you to express with a pump, avoid it at all costs. Which I did. I didn't know any different. And I expressed with the pump, but it just made the situation so much worse. I just got more and more milk. I was waking up in the middle of the night to express. Basically, I kept waking up when I was asleep, just drenched, because I just have so much milk, and it was just horrible. As I said, the doctor told me to express, which I did with an electric pump. That just made the whole situation worse. When you think about it, I was expressing more. My boobs thought that my baby was drinking more, so they made even more milk. And it just got into this vicious cycle. The only way to get your boobs to adjust to the amount of milk that your baby needs is just to ride it out. So if you have too much milk, don't express, maybe hand express, but if you express more, your boobs will make more. So you just have to bear with it. You might have like a horrible week, but after that week, your boobs will adjust to the amount of milk that your baby needs, and yeah, you'll be all good. Now we've established what not to do, here is how I expressed milk without it affecting my supply. So the need was because I needed to leave Maeve overnight. It was one of my close friends' hen do, and I didn't want to miss out on that. I wanted to be there with her, so I needed to express some milk to feed her whilst I was away. I am going to do a separate video on how to leave your baby overnight, so if you want to do that too, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that next one. Back to how to express without it affecting your supply. Health visitors recommend that you don't start expressing until your baby is 6 weeks old. They say that that is enough time for your supply to become established. I would say that if you are feeding for the second time round, you could maybe do it earlier than that. I found first time round, definitely I wouldn't have messed with it. As I said, I had all those other problems anyway, but I wouldn't have even considered trying to express with Rosalie. But with Maeve, my boobs had been breastfeeding for a year previously. They knew what they were doing and my supply sorted itself out earlier, I would say. Health visitors recommend that you don't start expressing until your baby is 6 weeks old. I needed to leave Maeve at 8 weeks, so I probably did start a little earlier than that. The way I did it was really non-invasive, and let me tell you. So how I did it was to use a Hakkaa pump. This is a Hakkaa pump. So it's a pump with a, well, hand, it's not even really a pump really, it's just a collecting vessel. So this obviously sits on top of your boob, like that, and then the milk collects in here. So what I used to do was to feed Maeve on one side, and while she was feeding I would put the pump on the other breast, and basically I would just catch the, what's it called? Is it called let down? Any excess milk that flowed out of the other boob while she was feeding on the other one, I would collect in the pump. When I swapped her over and she fed on this side, I'd do the same. I'd feed her on that side, and then I would collect any other milk that would flow out in this side. I wouldn't get much. I would probably get about 2 mils every feed. I'd get around 2 mils every feed. And what I would do is then put this in the fridge. Once I'd got my breast milk after I'd fed her, I would then pour this into this container that I stored in the fridge. Breast milk can keep in the fridge for 5 days. So what I would do was just keep doing that until I had a whole bottle's worth. That would take a couple of days. And then once I've got a whole bottle's worth, I would be able to put it in my freezer bag and freeze it. This is just a breast milk freezer bag. This one's from Boots, but loads of brands do them. And this is what I stored my breast milk in the freezer. Breast milk can stay in the freezer for up to 12 months. They recommend that if you are storing milk in the fridge, which you are then going to freeze, that you only leave it 3 days rather than 5 days. It would normally take me about 3 days to get a full bottle's worth, and once I'd got about 6 ounces I would then transfer it into this freezer bag, as I said, and pop it in the freezer. This is the only way I have found that you can express without it affecting your supply. Basically all you're doing is catching the milk that would flow out of you normally when you were feeding. All you're doing is catching the letdown that comes out of the other boob when you're feeding on one boob. So that is milk that you'd lose anyway, but you're catching it in this pump and using it for your baby. It's like a win-win situation. It means no breast milk is wasted, and that you have reserves in the freezer if you ever do need to leave your baby or if someone else needs to feed them. As I said, because you're not physically expressing, it won't affect your supply at all. It is excess milk that you would lose naturally, so your baby's milk supply will be unaffected and your boobs will only make what your baby needs. I hope you find this video helpful. If you have any questions, then please do leave them in the comments down below. I am planning a few other breastfeeding videos, like how to leave your baby overnight, so if you want to know how to do that, then subscribe to my channel so you won't miss that next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!